Let's just get started right away. Michael owns the Pizzaplex. Before we start officially, I have to stress, if you haven't seen my Michael isn't in FNAF 6 theory video, then go watch it, because the content in this video is extremely reliant on the content from that video, and it actually explains a lot of how I got to the conclusions that I got to. Again, if you haven't seen that last theory video, please do not watch the rest of this video. Alright, and the link will be in the description and pinned comment below. Now, from the Freddy Masquerade poster, it shows the date 2035, which would mean that the Pizzaplex was built around this time. But let's say that 2035 is when the Pizzaplex first opened. This would mean that the gap between FNAF 3 and Security Breach is around 12 years. And if you believe my previous theory, then you'd understand that FNAF 3 and this location happened congruently. In FNAF AR, Vanessa's age is stated to be 23. I believe that the AR messages are actually taking place in between 2031 and 2035. Because of the average time it takes to build a mall is around 4 years, that would mean that FNAF Help Wanted would take place in between 2023 and 2034. Since we see the Pizzaplex being built in the game, and since we know that we're playing as Vanessa and Help Wanted, that would mean Vanessa at the low end in Security Breach is 23 and at the high end is 27. I believe in the high end is more correct. So now why this is important. This would mean that AR takes place around 2031 with Vanessa being 23. Means that Vanessa would be 15 around FNAF 3. This will come up later. Micheal Afton has been working in Fazbear's kitchen at the latest in 2031. What if I told you that not only would he have a motive to start up Iceberg Entertainment again, but would also likely have the right to? Assuming that William was listed missing in 1993, that would mean that Henry, from a legal standpoint, would own William's business assets, which is why Henry probably wouldn't have opened up a new Fazbear's Pizzeria until the Pizzaplex. We know this happened because Henry has the blueprints in FNAF 6, which would mean that Henry just allowed Circus Babies and rentals to continue, which leads me to this. I believe Henry sent Mike into Babies as disguised as William. Now, why would Henry do this? Well, I believe Henry is the security guard in FNAF 3, which would make sense, and it would explain a lot. It would explain how he knows his daughters and the puppet, and why he would hallucinate the phantoms, and why Springtrap is trying to kill him. It would show how he cares with the dead kids, and explain how he knows how to lure animatronics. But he was also there to end William, which is probably why he tried killing Michael. He told Michael that Baby and his sister are connected somehow, and thus sent Michael down to Babies disguised as William. Probably thought Michael was going to go to Fazbear's Frights to free his father, or at least help him in some way. So therefore, he had to try and end Michael's life. However, after Henry's 1v1 gets interrupted, he tries to run it back. But we know that when FNAF 6 takes place, it's after 2023, but before 2031. It takes around 4 to 6 months to build a small building. So FNAF 6 probably takes place in 2024, mainly because FNAF 3 probably takes place around Halloween. And this is when the events of FNAF 6 happen. But instead of Michael working at the pizza place, it's Clara instead. Again, I stressed this in my last Michael video, so please go watch Michael wasn't in FNAF 6. That theory is completely important for every event beyond this point. Now, I'm going to further explain why I believe Clara Afton is the person who we play as in FNAF 6. But I also do want to stress that, technically speaking, from a standpoint of like lore and story, it doesn't necessarily have to be Clara. I feel like from a thematic sense, it should be her. However, I did get a comment from a fellow FNAF theorist, and I'm gonna butcher his name, so I kind of already feel bad. But his name is Zetorox. He's going to have a link in the description and in the pinned comment. He only has 400 subscribers, so please go show him some love. But he does mention in a comment of a previous video that if it isn't Mike, then it could be argued that it's Sammy, Henry's son from the novels. However, he does mention that his son, technically speaking, is not canon, but if he were to be canon, he could also fit here. But I do want to preference that I do believe still it might be Clara. Also, I mainly like Clara being, if she is going to be involved in the story, and I don't believe she has to, but if she were to be involved from an age standpoint, it makes more sense now. I do want a preference, I'm going to say that word a lot, but I do want a preference. I personally do not believe in matpat's 1930 statement. Now, I'm going to say this, I have the highest respect for matpat, okay? He's been carrying my childhood. However, Clara being alive in 2035, if she was born in 1930s, makes no sense, considering the fact that you're stating that over 100-year-old woman is doing all of the shit that he says she does. And not only that, she's never been stated to be injected with remnant, so there's really no way she's immortal. So I believe no way in hell she was born 1930. I believe that her and William were born closer to the 1950s. This would mean that in 2024, at the low end, she's like 64, and at the high end, she's like 73, which is way more believable than the 90 to 100-year-old woman doing the fucking master scheme shit that she's been doing in the lore that matpat states. Again, huge respect for matpat. I love him. But Clara was probably informed of William's disappearance in 1993, which then would set her on a track to find him, which eventually would lead her to the FNAF 6 building. And then she dies there with Henry, and Michael eventually finds his father. But sadly, William is more burnt than a pack god victim. It means Michael, well, he was too late. But Michael needs his questions answered. Were you gone for so long? Why did you send me to circus babies? How did you get trapped in the suit? Michael wanted his questions answered, and they will be, only when he brings his father back to life. After Henry's disappearance, Michael is literally the only one left alive who can inherit the Fazbear Entertainment company, and thus Michael got to cooking. In order for Mike to bring back his father, he knew he needed two things, money and remnant. So in 2026, Mike hired a company to make a game, but something was weird. The company decided to use a chip from his father's suit. William was seemingly copied and coded into the game, and not only that, but a playtester named Vanessa got affected by a glitch trap virus. It was never officially called the glitch trap virus, but that's what we call it, you know what I mean? By 2026. Because if Vanessa was 23 in 2031, that would mean that she'd be 15 in FNAF 3. And since you have to be at least 18 to playtest the game, 2026 would be a year that Vanessa turns 18. After this, Michael would have enough money to start a Pizzaplex project, but now he would need remnants. So in 2031, when Vanessa was 23, the events of FNAF AR take place. And after Michael has gained both money and remnant, now he just needs to revive his father. So close to the truth, the answers he was looking for, but there was one problem, one loose end. Vanessa. She started to go to therapy, and some people started to discover the truth. But Mike, he was so close. Too close. So he had every therapist killed. If Vanessa met them and spilled too much, they would be gone. If they started to pry too much, they disappear out of thin air.
Well, I can understand why you might feel angry about the way I just confronted you. Why don't we come back to this another day? You're shaking your head as though that's not going to happen.
So, in 2035, Mike hired Vanessa and the events of security breach happened. But if you played Ruin, you would know that Mike's plan failed. At the end, all of his work, the work he's been doing for the last 12 years, were erased by some random kid and Freddy. And as of now, Mike's whereabouts, well, they're unknown. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This is arguably one of the longest videos I've edited so far. If you want to hear some more FNAF theories that I may or may not have, just hit that like and subscribe button. And as regards to Gregory and how he falls into my Mike theory, I have no idea. I mean, I had some ideas, but like they're so out of like pocket, is like, lack for a better term, they're out of pocket that it makes low-key no sense. Like at first I was gonna try and propose that Gregory might be Mike's son, but that would make no sense from a biological standpoint because, you know, his body is functionally dead, and from a lore standpoint, considering the fact that if Gregory's like 10 years old, that means Mike would need to conceive Gregory around when sister location happens. Again, not impossible, just improbable. But I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, technically speaking, a sister location happens around FNAF 3. I don't know. My theorist head is a brewing. Anyway, like I said, thank you so much for watching and have a lovely day. Make sure to drink water. See ya.